I grew up playing Premier Manager, LMA Manager, Championship Manager, Football Manager, name a Football Manager simulator game from the early 2000s, the late 90s, and I was in the deep end with it. I love watching player progression. I love developing my own narrative in the world of football, of taking a club from rags to riches and really climbing the mountain, winning the Champions League with a minnow, or taking your favourite team and really climbing the summit. But as time goes on, you can only really play that situation so many times for my money, and playing against the computer, playing against eventually what we're now describing as AI, can, get old kind of quickly. And for the last year, I've been playing MFL, Meta Football League, which really does encapsulate all the good stuff of a great football manager simulator, where you can really put your identity, put your own stamp on a club, on players, take them from, the rags to riches, the zero to hero route. But one of the main differences with MFL is when I was a kid growing up playing all these games, being right in the deep end and be fully immersed in the universe that you would basically create yourself, because the longer time goes on, the more fictional these games, do end up becoming. I would love it if I could somehow profit from playing this game, if I could somehow, bring through players that are young and up and coming, realise their potential, and then sell them to other teams. Wouldn't that be super cool? I also used to dream and imagine, wouldn't it be amazing if every player that you played against in one of these games was owned, operated, and managed by another person, by another player? And MFL doesn't just bring back all those good time nostalgic feelings of a good old football manager, championship manager, football manager simulator game, but it actually brings in so much of the modern era, modern technology, and brings that new and old together absolutely fantastically. In the video today, I'll explain to you everything you need to know about MFL so you can get up and running and playing this game today. If you do enjoy the video at any point, please do hit like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you do go on to open up an MFL account, there's a link in the description in this video that will get you the best beginner bonuses available, no matter when you click that link. MFL love the content here at the channel, they sponsor the channel, and they make sure that that link is always loaded up with the best beginner bonuses possible. If you do get stuck, if you've got any further questions, there's more videos in the description of the video, but always feel free to drop a comment down below. I will come in there and respond to you and help you out with anything you're kind of stuck with. But the main things to kind of lay out in this video for anyone catching it who is brand new, who's never played the game before, is the clubs, the leagues, the mechanics of the situation, the environment of the game, everything that goes into the player mechanics, progression, the match engine, how the game actually works, and tactics, as well as the actual market. How do you buy and sell players for money? Do you need to actually buy and sell players for money? Can you do something else where you don't need to spend money on guys? And everything else you're going to need to know to learn the ropes. And the first place we're going to start is with your club. This is the first thing that you need in your inventory to be able to actually play the game. Now, in recent innovations, MFL have actually done a new system where you can actually buy your club directly from them, but you don't actually pay for it until after the first season. This is a lovely demo option, a real great try before you buy element, where you can play the game, you can try it, you can really get immersed into everything for a full entire season without spending a penny at all. Now, when your club is in that try before you buy stage, you have the ability to customize it. You can call it anything you want. You can design your kits. You do have some limitations on the AI generator for the badges that it will produce for you, but once you license the club, once you make it a fully fledged, club license in the game at any point that you choose to in the first season, you can completely redesign the badge any way you want. You can name your stadium whatever you want as well, and there's more and more customizable elements of the game, quality of life stuff that is coming into it season on season, new and greater innovations. My club is called FC Barcelona, and you can see I've built a bit of a club network here. My badges are a bit basic, but there's plenty of badges out there, or plenty of clubs out there I should say, sorry, whose badges are pretty next level, pretty high level AI generator stuff. And you can see from the marketplace here, so the clubs, you can buy a club from MFL, you don't pay for it for the entire season if you don't want to, and when you do buy from them, you do normally get extra bonuses, etc., and they start off at the very bottom of the football pyramid. But you can buy a club from another person if you want, and that could be in any division, and then you can kind of queue jump, you can kind of accelerate if you have a bigger appetite, a bigger budget for the game. You might want to just, go on holiday mode, essentially fast forward your progression and maybe put yourself into a higher division. Now, when you buy a club from the secondary market, you'll be able to see where it comes from in terms of the country and the location and whatever. There's no regional parameters in this game, so it genuinely doesn't matter where your club is based in any way, shape or form at all, other than for your own kind of headcanon for the story that you're writing and the club's journey that it's going to go on. But when you buy it from MFL itself, it gets randomly generated. In some locations and in some countries, can be worth a pretty penny. You know, there is some there is some premium locations out there that, you know, might not mean much to you, but might mean something to someone else. But whether you want to buy a club brand new out the packet and write all of your own history with it, or if you want to buy another club and take it over and rebrand it, maybe one like this community team that I run here on the channel that I identified mainly because it had a trophy cabinet, it had already won some titles, it had won some competitions and some leagues, and that gave it its own kind of personality for me to add into the little football network that I've got here. Now, every club is placed into the MFL division pyramid system, okay? Now, as you can see here, they're all kind of labelled into categories, but the Diamond League, for example, is one division, and in the Flint League at the very bottom, there's hundreds of those divisions. So starting off at the bottom, you're paired into little leagues of 12. The seasons run for 6 weeks. You've got a cup that comes into that, a mid-season transfer window, all sorts of stuff. And through promotion and relegation, we all find our clubs wherever we find them. The higher up the pyramid you get, the better the players you require, the more match XP it's on the line, and the bigger the in-game currency payouts that come from being higher up in the pyramid here, as it were. But because there is so many divisions, the Spark and the Flint division are new innovations since the game has been out of beta, and since it's growing and flourishing and thriving with more and more new users playing it all the time. And this is really where anyone on a budget is going to start their journey, where the lowest rated players are useful, where your free club is going to be situated, and as you start to climb the pyramid, you might have your own player progression and other stuff. But the thing to really highlight with this is it's not like random leagues and you could be against guys that will absolutely rip your head off every week. And don't get me wrong, in the Flint division, the bottom leagues, there can be a disparity between the top teams and the bottom teams, and as you climb up the leaderboard, that gets constricted. You know, you're very much against people of the same level and the same ability, and it genuinely makes every season, every game very, very challenging and very rewarding in its own Football Manager kind of way. The competitions don't cost anything to enter. You quite simply just need to have a club, get 16 players registered, and hit on that registration button. Now, anytime you open up a pack in MFL, or anytime you buy a player from the secondary market, you own that player. You become their agent. You might want to put them into one of the clubs you own. Maybe they're too good for your club. Maybe they're not good enough for your club. They could be a prospect. They could be somebody who's washed. It could be anything. But maybe you want to loan them out into other teams, into other managers. And for doing so, you'll get a revenue share. You'll get a percentage. You'll get a cut of any of the in-game currency that they help that team to win. And this is one of the beautiful elements of MFL that I think is game-changing, where it's not just about managing your team, tactics and players, progression, wonder kids and all that kind of thing, but there's also this element of being the agent, being the transfer mogul, putting players in the right clubs to maximise their potential, to maximise your own yield perhaps in terms of the amount of in-game currency you can acquire. And with every player in the game getting its own unique AI photorealistic image, the players really carry a lot of personality. When this game started off, it was kind of cartoon caricatures of some of these guys, but again, like I mentioned before, bringing in that real world technology and enhancement of the current day era, where not only can you play against a network of other people, but all the players, the leagues, everything else is such a well constructed and well managed own little metaverse, own little self-contained universe of its own, that you can really, you know, write the little narratives, write the stories in your head, the journey that these players and these clubs will go on with you, unlike any other Football Manager game for me as well. And as you can see with all these AI photorealistic images, yeah, some of them are a little bit tropey or whatever, but you don't see much repetition. You don't see like a copy and paste style or anything like that at all. They all kind of look like real people, or they all pretty much do, and they're all in their own unique way themselves. Each of the players have 6 primary statistics shown to show you how they're going to fit and adapt into the game engine itself, but there is other statistics that make up these other ones that are, you know, somewhat hidden in the game. As well as that, you can see the positions that the players like to play, and thanks to some third-party websites that you can access as well, some players actually have little cheat code positions where, for example, our guy here, P or Pi, he probably can't, right? But there's some cards where even on this graph, him as a right winger, he might get a +4, so he's not actually a 77 rated player, he's actually like an 81 or something like that. So there's lots of details, lots of creases, lots of nuance. It's not just quite simply get fast guys that can shoot and play them all in the forward positions and get strong guys that can defend in the defensive positions. There's so much more nuance and crease that comes into it. None least so the progression element. This is a boy by the name of Daniel Casas that I packed all the way back in Season 1 as a 77 rated right back, and through him playing for me throughout all these seasons, he's went from being 77 rated all the way up to being a legendary card now. He's now 85 rated, and that means all of his individual statistics, his overall rating, everything about him has progressed over the last 10 seasons, where he's went from being like a good card to being a legendary card. Now, not all players get progression. As you'll see here with Tolentino, this is another player I've had for just as long as the last player you just seen there. We're playing in the same squads for the most part, being a part of a successful outfit, but progression didn't really come his way. Some players will progress and go from a really low ranked player all the way to the top of the game, but some of them will be like Porfirio Tolentino here, where they won't increase much, if at all, across the course of their season. Now, the match XP, or the progression XP for these players, comes from a few different places. In my experience, the number one method of getting players to progress and get better is by good match performances, winning games, scoring goals, getting good match ratings. You also have training days set out across the season where there's some training XP that gets added to things, and for players that you're not going to play, you could put them into the dev center, which is like crash course hardcore training for a set period of time, and it will unlock their potential guaranteed. So if you loan players out, or you use players and they play badly, or they don't play that often, they're not going to progress very much. You really need them to be in a good situation. Squad management, player optimization, again, it's another lovely detail. But if we can chat about the match performance in the match engine, all the players will get a rating out of 10 when the game is done. And now the match engine is really evolved, where you get this, you get the usual kind of 2-dot match engine that we're all used to seeing from growing up playing Football Manager and all these other types of games, which is, again, very nostalgic and very fun. But it's all these extra little details that have come into the game recently, of the shot map. That wasn't a great goal, actually, was it? Which we can see here from different players, on target, off target, hitting the post. We also get heat maps for individuals as well, so we can see exactly where they've been influencing the game, where they've been on the ball, and, you know, have they been effective enough? Did you give a guy a lot of positional freedom and it really showed up, or did you tell the guy to just, you know, you can really have a lot of great analysis here into how the players are performing within the match engine. As well as on top of that, you've got a bunch of in-game statistics that comes out of every single match. Pass completion, shot count, defensive duels, interceptions, clearances, chance creation, shots being blocked, crosses, you name it. You can look at this for every single match and really be on top of your players' performances and their contribution into the team. Now, all the games kick off at a set day and time for every match for every club, so you can't just turn this game on and rattle through the seasons and just go on a merry adventure. It's a real-time game where you need to wait for the matches to be played. Like I mentioned earlier, the seasons run for 6 weeks, and you'll generally have 1 match a day. When the cup group stage is open, you can have as many as 2 matches a day. So you need to set your tactics in advance of the match happening, and you can't see it right now because when I'm recording, we don't have a fixture list to go down. But you can preset your fixtures, your rotations, your decisions for I think maybe up to like 6 or 7 games at a time. And it's always good practice to come in here and, you know, tweak it if someone's losing energy or fitness or fatigue or however you want to think of it, or maybe someone's catching form. You might want to change system. Maybe somebody gets suspended. These types of things happen as well, and you will need to come in and adjust it. But one of the innovations we got last season, on top of team instructions, which is a nice level of depth, it's not right in the deep end, but it gives you enough control on the team, as well as your set piece takers for free kicks, corners and penalties. But they've recently introduced match plans, and this has been absolutely fantastic for me, because you can decide in any interval, whether it be any time in the match or after a set interval, what the game situation is. Is the score even? Are you winning or losing by a set amount of goals? And you can completely change up the tactics, and this just kicks into action during the match engine as things happen. And this has been a great innovation for me for when I've been watching the game, for me knowing if we go behind by a certain time or we take the lead, that I already have the plans in action to secure the victory, to fight back, to turn the tide, whatever it might be. Because whether you're trailing in a game or whether you're leading, a lot of us, especially when it gets to the sharp end of the season, knockout cup games, 6-pointers in the league for top or bottom of the division, depending on where you're at, we all go into that game thinking, if I can win the first half, or if I can make it tight up until the last 10 minutes, or if I could do this, or if I could do that, we might have a chance of making it. And these plans have been fantastic, I think, for not quite extra leveling the playing field or giving anyone an advantage, but if you don't have much firepower and you do need to be defensive, but you really want to spring into action for the last 15 minutes of the game or something, you can do that. If you want to go all out attack and maybe you're low on fitness and energy, you might want to then tighten in and hold the game out, and it gives you so many options. And again, I just think it's a next level of match day planning. Now, everyone in the game, another thing I'll add into this, because I didn't do it in the right order, I don't think, but another thing in this is every player ages 1 year at a time every season. The seasons are 6 weeks, like you can see, and you probably noticed earlier on screen I had some players that had some funny calendars next to them. Every player will give you 3 years notice when they're going to retire. So for this season here, is this player here, Vandy, became 34. I got his notice that at 37 he will retire at the end of season 12, and you can see it changes colour all the way to red when they're in their last season, from yellow and then orange. So managing your roster and making sure you don't run out of players through retirement is something to think about as well. But from your competition and their performances season on season, you will win in-game in-game currency. And that currency is spent on player packs, and that is the primary method for most players looking to add new players into their roster, into their squad. Now, because the metaverse, the little sandbox universe we're in here, is very self-contained, there's not an infinite amount of these packs and players that are available at any given point in time. So the reward packs are fairly available, they're always kind of here. They need in-game currency spent on them, but the packs you would spend real money on are only available pre-season and mid-season. So there's a very controlled element into the game in terms of how many players there are, the availability, the scarcity of them, however you want to think of it. But at any time you can go into the secondary market and you can buy players of any rating and really of any price, and some of them are ridiculous. Obviously they're not actually going to be sold for that amount of money, from other managers. So whether you want to buy players, own them, loan them out, etc., you can do that. But equally, like we mentioned before, with loaning players out, you can just loan players in. You don't actually need to own any of these guys at all. You can build an entire squad, an entire roster of just loaned in players. Along with the try before you buy with the club, you could really play your first season without playing anything at all. Now, if you do loan in your entire squad, it means any in-game currency you win, you will be cutting other people in on that. And that in itself as a balance is, again, another fun dynamic of the game, where I've spent, I think it took me maybe 6 or 7 seasons where I got to the point where I had enough players where I didn't need to loan in very many, if any, and it meant then I was keeping a lot more of my in-game currency to build my own agency, my own club network. But each to their own. Some people don't want to spend, some people don't mind spending a little bit, some people want to build something without spending any money at all, loan the right amount of players in, give some in-game currency away, but keep enough, and over time organically free roll your way into a situation. So again, there's more than one way to skin the cat on this one. But all the players, all the clubs in your agency do then go to add into your own trophy cabinet. Now, all the players get their own individual little trophy cabinet, so any player awards you see here then appear on their player profile page. And again, in terms of IDing players to sign or to buy, if you're not packing them, guys that have won golden boots and playmaker awards or golden gloves are, just maybe a little bit more appealing, aren't they? But again, this really does add into your journey as the agent, as the club owner, whatever it might be, for different league titles, and I say playmakers, iron, golden boots and all the rest of it. So the honour, the glory is really there in terms of accolades and trophies that can be won. There's lots of wins to be gained by buying and selling players on the market. You can see here I'm a bit of a small fish in that regard. But there's also the unearthing of gems, or the packing a guy. Like even Big Wagner here, again, a guy I've had since season 1, opened out at 73 rated, and he's went all the way up to being 81. He's actually quite close to retirement now. Yeah, he's in his second to last season, so Wagner will be leaving as a club legend, a club icon. But again, guys like this has helped me move up the levels in the game, but maybe you don't move up the levels, maybe you don't want to move up the levels. Maybe as soon as this guy goes from being 73 to 80, maybe you just want to sell him or something like that. Again, look at this guy, Oscar Kaiser. He started off at the club at 65, he's got all the way up to 75, some great years of service, and developing players, bringing them through, is a lot of fun. I've got 2 clubs, so I've kind of got a feeder club into my main club, and I'm trying to really kind of live and express that section of the game right now, which is great, as well as having those guys that just don't really make the cut, that you're happy to loan out, sell, and everything else around it. So whether it is just getting stuck in with one club, branching out into multi-club, being an agent, managing tactics and fixtures and competitions and glory and all the rest of it, there really is something for everyone in this game. And at point of recording, MFL is about to go into Season 10, which will be the biggest season ever. They are putting $10,000 prize cash pool out there. To qualify for that tournament, you need to participate in Season 10, and similar to the main pyramid in the division, it's broken up into sections. So if you're at the bottom end of the food chain, as it were, there's still a cash competition you can qualify and you can play in. But I think this is only the beginning. MFL is 1 year out of being in beta. We're into Season 10 now of the game being proper, and it feels like this is only the beginning of things to come. With the AI photorealistic players, the match engine and heat maps, and all the other stuff that we spoke about in the video today, slowly but surely being deployed into the game, and now the advent of a cash competition, MFL is only just getting started. And for me, again, I can't say it enough, if you like football manager type games, this literally has everything in it to be the #1 game for you to do PvP, player versus player, and, you know, write your own story, write your own identity, your own club into the game as well. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you do have any questions or you get stuck, jump into the comment section down below. There is more beginner tutorials in the description of the video, as well as some other stuff on screen at the moment that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit like and subscribe for more content like this. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.